received in 1999, addressing women students self-correcting. And the status of the program manager position, we held interviews this week, opted not to fill the position, and we are reposting. So that will be coming out again. We decided to change the criteria of what the candidate needed to have in terms of qualifications, and we extended to 220 and 80 days. So we will be advertising that again, and it's going to have a better response. Wanted to share with you that we have a variety of new CAC members. We have Jennifer Medina from Chafee, Amy Zoki from Chino, and Crisol Mena from OMSD, and then our chair this year is Israel Rangel from Kumanga, and they have already come together and have gone to work to start planning for a lot of great activities this year. Our October meetings are actually going to come together, and the committees are going to work on plans this year. And then we really wanted to dovetail our parent trainings this year with what we have going on for all of our districts. So to that end, as you know, we got a ADR grant from the state for 5 years, and we're bringing Greg Abel down from Sound Solutions in Washington. He will speak to the parents on November 3rd, and then the next day we'll have a packed training, whoever the district's invite, to hear all about communication as part of the ADR process. Also, I failed to mention I've asked each of your directors to work with your CAC member to bring a district report, and they're doing a great job of that too. February 16th, Kristen Ludovico, who was formerly the director in Etowanda, is now the inclusion specialist for the state agro project in Santa Clara that lives here locally. She has already been working with our work group yesterday for inclusive practices, and so she will be presenting to the parents in February. And then in April, we're bringing back that Life After High School, bringing all kinds of agencies and guest speakers in to talk to the parents about what happens after they exit high school. Wanted to bring you a couple of legislative updates. As you recall, last spring, we heard a lot about AB 277, or SB, 277, the legislation about vaccinations. And at the midnight hour, what they built into it was, and it'll be on the next slide, so let me get to this first. Students are okay till they enroll in the next grade span of 1 to 6 and 7 to 12, and so they're okay until they reach that next grade span, and then let's move to the next one. Section H, the exemption is if they have an IEP. And we know there's going to be a lot of case law about this. There are these activities going on throughout the state, so I will keep you apprised if I hear any changes. Casey has been suspended, as we know, and so any student 2003, 4, and on who only did not get a diploma because they did not pass the Casey can now come back and ask for the diploma. And so it'll be interesting to see how many students who had an IEP get into that criteria and come back and request them. A little bit about our local plan update. Kind of set the stage for some of the things in our agenda today. When we met last, we had a closed session, and out of that came a request by OMSD for us to meet a number of superintendents with the board and with Dr. Hammond. And so that meeting was held on August 17th, and Ted Alejandre will be giving you an update about what occurred at that meeting. And then we approved the timeline that the CDE said we could extend it 1 more year if we had the vote within our council. We voted unanimously to extend it to 2016 and revert to the student's local plan. So I will bring forward to you all of the changes that are in this new local plan. It was too much for today. So I'll bring that to you when we meet again in December. I think it would be good to review that. So I would like to propose something else that I'll bring to you at a later date too, but just wanted to bring this to your attention today. I would like to propose that in 16-17 that we bring forward the 2014 local plan, because we know June 30th is the end of our 2014 local plan. So if we were to bring before all of you a vote to extend it here locally one more year, I got a call from the CDE this morning and they have confirmed that would be okay, because if we are in a place where we have to now develop a new local plan, I don't want you to have to revert back to the 08 local plans. It's just too many changes. So more on that, but I just wanted to let you know that that's a possibility, that we could keep this new local plan that we worked so hard on until we get to the new local. Wanted to also let you know that this summer, I did meet with one representative from Fontana School District, and via email, Tim and I have been exchanging some data. Wanted to just explore, would they be interested in having dialogue with us to see if they wanted to join us and no longer be a single district SELPA. I need guidance from you. So what I would ask today is if you could let me know, would you like me to even pursue those conversations? Do you have any interest? Would you like to explore that? Should I bring it back to this? Here, there's been some changes, obviously. They have a new SELPA director. In the past, they've had a lot of changes.
I can't hear. This is an important item for me to hear. So if you guys could all talk up,
Rick asked
I would
if there
really
was
appreciate
interest.
it.
Dr. Carr asked if there was interest. They were right in a situation where they had a vacant SELPA director position. It appeared as though they might even be holding off because they had posted it and it hadn't even been interviewed for in 3 or 4 months. They have now filled it. I do know that they are bringing in somebody who used to be in charge of the Office of Special Education Programs at the federal level to do similar to a FICMAT study with them. So I don't know where they stand, but it would increase our SELPA by 35,000 students, which could be good for us. And we have a lot of things that we have to offer in terms of training, support, and otherwise. So it's just exploration at this point, but I feel like I shouldn't be going forward unless I have your blessing.
I'm not opposed to exploring.
Agree. Okay. All right. So I will keep you posted and probably engage some of you and your director at some point if we get that far. Annually,
Can you actually say what they said? Because I didn't hear a word of, I think, 3
Everybody said they would like me to explore it. So
I just want to
spoke
say,
up.
everybody did not say that.
Everybody.
I think that if we're going to make a decision about whether or not the SELPA should move forward with conversations, I think it should be an agenda item.
Okay, we'll bring it back in December. Is that good?
All you're doing is exploring.
Yeah.
It does not require an agenda item because there's not where the board is actually taking an action. She's just trying to get a feel for what the board's.
Yeah, but I heard the term everybody was open. I'm
I meant to say everybody.
There was no
spoke.
opposition.
I'm sorry, everybody who spoke was in favor of
Yeah.
it. And it's not an action item, so you can't take a vote, so. What's the rule?
There is no opposition.
Is that correct?
to explore it.
Okay.
To
okay.
explore.
And most likely, it will be down the road a ways until they get their study done. And so I'll just leave it. Compliance complaints 2014-15, you know I bring this to you every year. And the good news is we had fewer last year than we did in 12-13 and 13-14. So last year we had 17 compliance complaints that were filed with the state. The CDE has not issued 2 of the reports yet. 3 were withdrawn. None were dismissed by the CDE. 5 districts had complaints, and in those complaints there were 34 issues compared to, as you can see, in 12-13, 70 issues. So for compliance complaints, that's good news. Next slide, please. And you can just see it in a graphic formation. We've had a big bump up in 12-13, and then it's going to take right now. And so in those complaints, the CD issues a report, and they tell us if we were compliant or not. 13 of the issues were compliant, 14 were out of compliance, 4 were with compliance, 4 were withdrawn, and 3 findings are not yet determined in those 2 that have not been determined. So the issues, as you can see, every year, the trend is an adherence to timelines for IEP meetings or assessments and implementing the IEP as it's written. And then this year, we had a few items that were brand new that had not come up in the last 4 years. Notify districts of right to a hearing, RSP caseload, coordination of RSP and gen ed staff, and RSP credentials. So those were new. As you know, we have some grants. We've been given a 5-year grant, the governor for ADR. The governor also gave $1.9 million to the state of California for ADR for 1 year. We probably won't be in that $1.9 million because we're out of the grant at $20,000 for each of the next 5 years. We're moving forward with all kinds of plans for training and support to the districts. And I think it's going to be beneficial. We're working on a parent strand and all sorts of other things. And then it's highly unusual for anybody to get an augmentation to their transition partnership program grant. And we received word this summer they had indeed given us an additional 30% for another $55,000. And so this is going to give us an opportunity to serve a lot more students and try out employment and training programs. We have work groups that have already gotten together this year to work on ADR, Indicator 5, MPS, performance indicators, policies and procedures, and procedural. So why do we need to do so much work in the area of inclusion? Here's why. State indicator number 5 says that there's a certain percentage you're supposed to reach in terms of how many students are in general ed most of the day and how many students are in special education the majority of the day. So 80% of the time, we're supposed to have 76% of the students with IEPs in the general ed. That was the target in 12-13, and none of our districts met it. The state rebenched all of the targets and put into place a system more like AYP, where you have to make progress towards the goal every year, and it was rebenched down to 49.2. So 5 of our districts met it. We're moving into a phase where there's results-driven accountability. And at State SELPA last week, Fred Malcolm talked very strongly about the sanctions where the CDE is going to be imposed if we do not meet what we're supposed to in terms of compliance. And they'll be holding our funds. And they have fiscal monitors and federal monitors in their office that are really pushing for this. So I'm working very diligently with the districts to see what we can do to make improvement in these areas. And the next slide. The students who are in general education less than 40% of the time, the target had been that less than 9% of our students with the most severe disabilities included were supposed to not be out of general ed more than 40% of the time. And so in 13-14, they revamped it to 24.6, and 6 of our districts met. But when you look at the goals, because each state could set their own criteria, we did it to ourselves in California. The bar was set way higher than most all other states. And so now that they've benched it and we have the opportunity to work towards that, I think we can move. Just a reminder, if you're submitting for any program transfers, they need to be to my office, the letter of intent, by September 30th, which is next week. Your directors have already been.
Just back on that other topic, when you meet with the individual districts, can you give us those percentages of how we're performing in regard to those?
Sure, and they have the reports because you get individual reports in your district, but I can send them that again. We are very grateful to the county that in and 17, we will be moving to some kind of temporary housing, and our building is going to be remodeled. We're going to stay returning to the WeSELPA office in 17, 18. We've been working with Dave Breck. He met with all of our staff when we had our annual gathering, we call it, and gave us the opportunity to get what we need where we're going and what we need when we come back. So I just wanted to make you aware.
Where you're going is?
Dave Breck said, you're lucky if you can find a location 2 months in advance when you need such a big facility. So he said he will be starting to look in October in our last conversation. So it'll all be good. And then I just wanted to pay a little tribute to Amy Foodie, you know? She was with us 6 years, and as you're going to see later, we had 57 filings, and none of them went to hearing last year. We resolved. And so I just am sure that you want to congratulate her too in her new position. I just wanted to say for 1 minute that she is on, but I know you're all thankful, like we are, that she was here.
Thank you, Susan. I don't know if this is. Thank you, Susan. Let's continue. Oh, before we continue day 3, we do have a couple of public comment cards for item A2. First one is Rita Luke.
Good morning, Rita Loof, and I'm a parent in the Upland Unified School District. I wanted to make a couple of comments about Susan's report. First of all, I would like to ask that the PowerPoint presentation be available to the public. We don't have those slides, and the agenda items that we were able to see on the email don't necessarily reflect the same information. Like, she had a slide there that was very detailed about the issues and compliance complaints, and we don't have that. At least I couldn't find it in my agenda packet. Speaking of the agenda packet, I'd like to thank the IT department at the San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools office because they did fix the link on the website, so now we can see the agenda, and it worked just fine. So whatever changes happen, thank you for that. I wanted to also comment on the Fontana issues and exploration. It's nice for Susan to come today as a courtesy and protocol to ask for permission, but the fact is that we had already heard that West End SELPA was communicating with Fontana even before today. And as a matter of fact, we had heard that there is a well-orchestrated plan to send Amy Foodie to Fontana so that she can work from the inside and do what SELPA does best, which is bypass the elected officials and bypass this board and the public and just focus on the bloated bureaucracy and on amassing power. So the issues are not going to go away. I think this is a plan to replace the ADA loss from the Ontario Montclair School District. And I can guarantee you that we'll be communicating with those Fontana board members to make them aware of how this agency operates. And we are going to hold Amy Foodie accountable even if she is in Fontana. Thank you.
Thank you. Another public comment on A2. That's Mo Mendoza.
My name is Mo Mendoza. I'm a parent of a child that's in the Chaffee School District still, and also I'm a board of trustee of OMSD, and as a board of trustee, I'm speaking only for myself. I'm really upset that Susan had the audacity to ask you guys for permission to look at the avenues of seeking Fontana to come into this SELPA. Not at any time did my superintendent come to me and make a board action item or any discussion item about the possibility of this happening, okay? This alters the local plan drastically because you're bringing in another possible school district. Me, as a Board of Trustee,